The Russ Belville Show.
You want answers?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical Rant.
Welcome back, folks. Subject for today's rant is something that I got from our producer, Wiz Kaliko, who earlier today had heard a commercial on our local progressive talk radio station, KPOJ AM 620, also my former home when I had the original Russ Belville Show. Kaliko, can you give us a kind of a summation of what you heard in this thing, some of the phrasing?
It just started out by saying, you may have heard that our prisons are filled with marijuana smokers. And basically just went on to say that, you've heard wrong, and then just listed like 35, 40 seconds full of statistics that you just better believe as fact, because there are no marijuana smokers and nobody ever gets busted for pot in the state of Oregon.
Yeah, so I just wanted to address that because now that Oregon's I'm jumping ahead of myself, placed Measure 80 on the ballot, that's our OCTA, Oregon Cannabis Tax Act, that would legalize personal possession and cultivation of marijuana. This whole police, prison, rehab, industrial complex is ratcheting up the rhetoric to distort, confuse, and dissuade the public from doing what a majority of them support, legalizing marijuana, especially out here in the West Coast, where some polls show 58 to 60% support for legalization of marijuana. Now, they played that ad, and this ad comes from a group apparently called the Truth in Sentencing Project, trying to downplay what are the life-altering consequences of a marijuana arrest, trying to suggest that our prisons are not filled with nonviolent drug offenders, right? They say, you may have heard there's a lot of people in prison for marijuana. No, I didn't say that. Did you say that? You see that? I didn't say that, but maybe you heard that. Let me go to their press release on this, because after Kaliko called me, I looked it up and we found the press release from this group. He says, quote, this is Stephen Dole, the executive director of this Truth in Sentencing Project, says, quote, there's a lot of misinformation out there about Oregon's sentencing laws and the criminal justice and prison systems, and the Truth in Sentencing Project's goal is to dispel those misconceptions. For instance, many people believe that up to 50% of the prison population is incarcerated for possessing drugs. Oh, really? Many people. I heard many people thought that. Many people. Many of them. That's a Fox News trick, people. Many people. It's a way of setting up a straw man argument, which is basically trying to put the words in the mouth of your opponent and then tearing apart those words. I don't recall anybody from our marijuana legalization side, anyone from OCTA, ever saying half the people in prison are there for drugs. Now, it has been said half of the people in federal prison are there for drug charges. And that's absolutely true. So here this Truth in Sentencing Project wants to take an anecdote about federal sentencing and think that we think it about Oregon state sentencing. All right, so a little slimy right there. Kaliko's got the ad, too. We'll see if we can get that up in hour 2 and let you take a look at that or let you hear that as well. We'll play that in hour 2 for you. Or if you manage to get it and you can play it through the Skype machine, we could possibly do that as well. But the idea here is what they're trying to do is try to make you think that the whole reason we need to legalize marijuana is because we're over-incarcerating small-time pot smokers. And then if you show that there's exceedingly few small-time pot smokers in prison, well, voila, no need to legalize marijuana. But see, that's the problem, is that we're not saying that. We're not saying that it's prisons are packed to capacity with pot smokers, and that's the problem. First off, the whole less than 0.5% stat of people in Oregon prisons for marijuana. Oh, I'm sorry, I got to read that to you. I didn't read that quote. Here's another one of his quotes when he said, many people believe that 50% of the prison population is incarcerated for possessing drugs. And by the way, that's inaccurate. Let's just go to the ad here. You got the Skype machine turned on. We'll just play the ad. You can listen to it for yourself.
If you think Oregon prisons are full because we're sentencing pot smokers to prison, you're wrong. I'm Steve Dole of the Truth in Sentencing Project. Of Oregon's 14,000 prisoners, only 0.5% are there for drug possession, and only 1 in 4 felons are sentenced to prison. 1 in 4. So who's in Oregon prisons? 2/3 are violent criminals. Murderers, rapists, armed robbers, child molesters. The rest are incorrigible repeat property and drug criminals. If you've heard Oregon has high prison costs because we send a lot of people to prison, you've heard wrong again. 2/3 of the states have higher incarceration rates than Oregon. Inmate costs are $82 a day in Oregon, $52 a day in Idaho. If Oregon brought its costs in line with Idaho, we'd save $153 million a year. We're the Truth in Sentencing Project, and that's the truth.
All right. So yeah, it's not that expensive to ruin people's lives and lock them up over pot. Okay. First off, let's get to his stat. Only 0.5%, he says, only 0.5% are there for the possession of, or there for drug possession, right? Less than 1/2 are there for drug possession. Well, right. The thing is, though, is that there are so many things that we would just think of as drug possession that get charged as something greater. For example, if I possess a substantial amount of drugs and they have evidence of me being on the phone with someone talking about those drugs, there's a conspiracy charge. Conspiracy charge. That's not a possession charge I could be put in jail for, but it is a charge I could be put in jail for possessing pot. Let's talk also about the people who may be on probation for some other crime they may have committed. Maybe they, stole something. Maybe they wrote a bad check, whatever it might be. They're on probation and they fail the whiz quiz, right? They are dirty on a P test. Bam, they're back in prison. But they're not counted as being back in prison for smoking a joint. They're counted as being back in prison for their original crime of having stolen something or written a bad check, whatever it might have been, right? So here's a situation where smoking pot did get you thrown in prison, but you're not showing up in that less than 0.5% stat, right? He also, like I said, possession. They're not in there for possession of drugs, right? And I mentioned the conspiracy thing. Also, let me get to this to you here. The other thing they try to do is to conflate the marijuana with all the other scary sounding drugs, right? In their press release, they say only 1/2% of Oregon's 14,000 inmates is serving time for drug possession, and those were convicted for possession of substantial quantities of illegal drugs such as cocaine, ecstasy, heroin, marijuana, and methamphetamine. Yeah, sure, but most of them are there for pot. Most drug arrests are for pot. Most drug convictions are for pot, right? So there's a whole lot of them there for pot. They like to throw the ecstasy, cocaine, heroin, and meth in there to make it sound a little bit more scary. Also, let's consider what substantial quantities are. Well, they're in jail for substantial quantities. They must have been drug kingpins. Well, they deserve to be in jail. But in Oregon, a substantial quantity that can get you felony time is over an ounce. That's right, 29 grams in the state of Oregon is a substantial quantity for which you can get prison time. And a single plant or seed is a felony for which you can get substantial prison time. And the main problem with this, too, is, again, they try to direct this into we're thinking that the problem is there's too many people in prison. No, that's not the problem. The problem is not incarceration. The problem is punishment for smoking pot in the first place. When you're caught and everything, Oregon, it's decrim. Yeah, but when you're caught with just a joint in the state of Oregon, it's a ticket and a fine, but it's also a mandatory 6 months driver's license suspension, even if you weren't driving, even if you weren't near your car when you were caught with the joint. And for many people, losing their driver's license can mean the loss of their job. So, okay, yeah, they're not in prison, but their lives are substantially altered because of getting caught with that joint. Oh, and don't forget, if you were caught with that joint within 1,000 feet of a school, or in other words, anywhere in a city, pretty much, it's a misdemeanor with 30 days in jail. And that misdemeanor, that's now in the public record. And now you're branded a drug criminal for the rest of your life in the age of Google. And that makes it a whole lot harder for you to get a job when you lose your current one because you've been in jail for a month. And then some of those people, when they get out of jail, unable to find work because they have to check that little box that says they're a drug criminal, well, they'll turn to crime. And then that might get them locked up in prison for something other than pot. So once again, the whole less than 0.5% stat works out great because we ignore the fact that what led the criminal to being in jail for the robbery in the first place was the joint he got caught smoking that lost him his job, that made him unemployable, and then had forced him to turn to a life of crime to feed his family and keep a roof over his head. So yeah, it's really easy to pick and choose through these little stats and say, oh, it's only less than 0.5%. But hey, for that